Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. Cross the line in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. My name is Jeff, and alongside me, as always, is the dick to my Rod Johnson. It's Max, everyone.
Finally, not only did you pick a person for me that was amazing, but you made us together one of the most elite tag teams in TNA history.
Elite tag teams, yeah.
All elite. I'm actually surprised they weren't on the. They haven't made their debut yet.
What did the Johnsons ever do? You think?
Before they were the Johnsons, when they were the Shane twins, they are actually former NWA tag team champions. So the Johnsons,
not in the skin, but in the.
I don't think. I don't know. So they won it in 2000. So they actually were the last tag team champions. Let's see, prior to TNA gaining full control of the bouts. So it was the Johnsons, AJ Styles, and Jerry Lynn. I'm just saying that lineage right there, and then it goes America's Most Wanted. So you've got the Johnsons, AJ Styles, and Jerry Lynn, America's Most Wanted, probably the three greatest runs of champions in NWA tag team history.
Max, you set this podcast back 3 steps.
I don't think so.
Talk about the Johnsons. It's my fault. I baited you on that. But
this is what the people tune in for.
I won't waste any more on the Johnsons. I'm going to get the last word in on it. The fact that you knew that they were tag team champions before we talked about this shows a lot about where you're at in your.
Hey man, in my DVD collection, I have the best of the Johnsons.
Oh my god, this is so sweet. So we'll shoot the shit later in our last segment. Thanks for sticking with us, guys. Thanks for tuning in. It's been a hot second since we got together and talked wrestling. Every 2 weeks we do this podcast, and it's actually been about that since we talked face-to-face, or Skype to Skype. So we're going to do a little bit of segment at the end, just 5 to 10 minutes, whatever we have left, of shooting the shit, kind of, and catching up about Impact together. Naturally in the treehouse. I think that makes sense. So we're going to do that later, but Max, I should be handing it over to you, Rod Johnson. Or no, you're Dick Johnson. I'm Rod Johnson.
I'm one of the Johnsons.
I think it's Rodney. Do you think they thought that far?
I don't know. I think they were just looking for other names to call your Johnson. That's why they went with Dick and Rod.
Picture Vince Russo and Jeff Jarrett like each throwing a dart. And
look,
it's like racist character.
I'm just surprised the Johnsons haven't shown up on WWE at some point. Like,
I think they're too busy running WWE, but let's go to headlines.
All right, headlines. Headline number 1, Agents Gallows and Anderson. Could you see AJ Styles returning? And it seems New Japan Pro Wrestling stars like Tama Tonga want a relationship with Impact. And the second part of this question, it's a statement, by the way.
Right. They're Hot Topics headlines anyways, so whatever. Okay. Johnson. I feel like even though you're the lead now, and I'm supposed to answer first, I feel like this is something you want to just get off your chest.
So I'll start with the Tama Tonga thing. Obviously, I think guys like them want a relationship with Impact because, getting into any type of U.S. company is a good idea for them. And getting into one that's going to let them be what they are. Because, Tama Tonga and his brother are both, they're great wrestlers. I think my fear for them would be is if you go to WWE, that's never going to happen. They're never going to be New Japan, WWE tag team. ROH is broadcast on the WB at 3:30 in the morning.
Well, in fairness, not to interrupt, but they are in partnership still with ROH. So
I'm just saying in general, if you were a wrestler. So okay. ROH is broadcast at 3:30 in the morning in wherever. And I don't know if All Elite would, if you come there, are you going to be a star or are you going to take a back seat to their established tag teams? So I think coming to Impact, I could see the New Japan guys coming to Impact and being in the same level they are in New Japan in Impact. They're not going to take a step down, and they're not going to be used, at least not now. Impact's not going to say, cool, we're going to use New Japan to put our guys over. So I think that's a reason why they want to come to Impact. Also, with Anderson and Gallows there, I mean, they were part of the Bullet Club when the Bullet Club was, in my opinion, on top. When it had AJ Styles, when it had Anderson. So wanting to work with those guys again makes all the sense in the world because it instantly makes the Bullet Club exciting again because they've lost, although I still think they're a great team, they've lost a lot of people.
Yeah. I agree. So, real quick though. So you're saying individually it would be nice if they came or did whatever they were going to do and whatever. But this is saying, do you think Gallows and Anderson, on top of that, are they going to bond? Are they going to make that happen? Is that bridge going to be gapped with the people that you're mentioning?
I think they can. I think obviously they want to work with New Japan. It's already been said that they can. It makes no sense for me for TNA or Impact to say, yeah, we'll let you work New Japan if they didn't think there's a possibility of them working with New Japan. And I think the fact that you see the New Japan guys wanting to work with Impact is just kind of getting everything lined up to where you have people maybe not the upper management is on wants to do it, but if you get enough wrestlers saying, hey, we want to work with this company, I think they can get upper management to agree to it.
Yeah, and it does. It very much helps to rebuild that bridge when you have two guys and good brothers that have those connections. They have the ability to charm or have those connections because they've earned them. And yeah, I could see it happening. And I think you're right. I think it's just setting the tone for what is to come. Impact's on a different level. So can I see it happening? Yes. But I'm more excited for you to answer. So this is basically, Craig and I have been talking about the fact that Gallows and Anderson have come and they've been talking about recruiting since day one, which I think is very exciting because you rarely hear the free agents that came into Impact for quite a while not really even put Impact in their profile or their bio. So, it's nice to see these people come in and start waving the flag. But if they do what they say they're going to do, I know what your reaction will be, but do you see it plausibly happening, especially after signing a 5-year or whatever contract that he said would be his last? In AJ, excuse me, if no one's.
I can see it. So I think he'll come back to Impact for one final run. I don't think it'll be. I don't even know if it's going to be a year. It may be 6 months to where he basically talks. If Vince leaves WWE, so Vince gets old and just decides to retire, Triple H takes over, I could see it more a better possibility because I could see AJ being done, being like, look, I'm ready to be done. I just want to do one final thing there, and them being okay with it, him doing that and then coming back and being a trainer in the Performance Center. Because I think that's where he eventually wants to go.
Well, I agree with that. And scouting, he's mentioned. Scouting. But real quick, there's a better chance just to clarify that Triple H in charge would.
I think Triple H would be better because to me, I mean, when Triple H was a wrestler, he was kind of a dick. But to me, I feel like a lot of if you look at NXT when it was at its peak, it was before Vince got involved with it And it was when Triple H was really just kind of able to go and do his thing. And yeah, and he saw a lot of these guys. He saw the guys at ROH. He saw the guys in New Japan. He did a lot of, so I feel like he would be more open to saying, you know what, I'll let you go and run, because at that point he's not going to say, hey, I want to go to All Elite. He can say, hey, I want to go to Impact. And I think in Triple H's mind, he can say, if I let AJ go into TNA for 6 months, maybe he builds up, maybe he, makes some connections with some younger guys there. And then when he decides to retire, he already has connection with these guys. And when he goes back working for WWE, it's easier to bring those guys over to WWE as opposed to now. I mean, all he knows now is Anderson and Gallows, who clearly were burned by Vince and Paul Heyman. I don't think a lot of the younger guys has he wrestled with.
As far as AJ in Impact current roster,
like maybe Rich Swann from.
You got Motor City.
But I don't think WWE's going to pick them up. I think they're probably closer to the.
Oh, you're saying him to steal away and
No, like if when he becomes a scout and he's like, hey, these are the guys that I know that if we're looking to pick up, I think it makes sense.
I don't think, or I would like to think that AJ would come back and it be for the right reasons, and not take that information back or plant the seeds to the company that he built. It is the house that AJ built. I don't see him doing that. Maybe.
I agree. He'll come back for the right reasons. But I'm just saying, if it comes up to something where someone's looking to leave and go or becomes a free agent, if he's been back there and he's knows him, and they say, "Oh yeah, 4 months ago I was hanging out with AJ because he was in Impact," I think it helps the recruiting and scouting.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, because I think he signed 5 years. I think we're only 1 year in or something like that. So he has 4 years left on it. So the only way I can really see him doing a 6 month to a year even of wrestling for Impact, he would be high up there if he waits to the end of the contract. So I would imagine a Triple H, or more likely Vince, because who knows, that guy's never going to die. Which is good. No death. I'll say he's never going to give up the company alive. Sure. In my beliefs. So anyways, would a Triple H a year from now do that? Let someone go. We already have a decent relationship with WWE, it seems. In a conspiracy theory talk with somebody, thought maybe that this group of guys were released all at the same time on purpose to kind of give Impact the push and get AEW a little bit of, I don't know. It just seems a little interesting to how closely we work with WWE and how all of them pretty much signed with us. Could be something else, could be nothing, whatever. We're getting off topic. It's late. But anyways, I see what your point is there. Do I see AJ coming back? In my heart of hearts, yes, I do. Does it make sense for him? I don't think it's about money for him if he were to come back, and I'm sure by that time they would do whatever they need to do to get him. I think it would be for AJ. It would be a good memory to leave on. Coming back, it's like how ECW, when ECW came back and they were, in the when they did that one night stand, amazing. Everyone, hey, let's remember them that way. And then, of course, too much, sometimes you overstay your welcome, or it gets changed, or not who you remember it being. So I could see the stay being small as well. I could see him wanting to bookend his professional career there, and then, back up behind the scenes be with WWE. It's just wishful thinking at this point on both of those things. Either way, I think we could sum it up by saying Ganderson and Gallows. Holy Lord. Anderson and Gallows. What time is it? 1 a.m? Anderson and Gallows are good agents or good brothers, and are doing the work that a lot of people who have taken Impact contracts previously should have done. So I'm happy either way.
I definitely think you will see, if more people leave WWE, I think with Anderson and Gallows being an Impact, you could see more people coming to Impact because of them than you would in the past.
Yeah, that's a little more easy to see, like a direct path compared to a New Japan or an AJ specifically. But yeah, I agree.
Number 2, how do you feel about the world title being defended in an open challenge, given how the title matches have only main evented 3 of the last pay-per-views, Bound for Glory, Hard to Kill, and Slammiversary?
Okay, I see. Yeah, I could see where that is, and I never really thought about it until you literally just read it. Craig, good question, buddy. You don't really. I think that's answers the question for me, honestly. If me, someone who is very watchful when I watch Impact, like I'm on my phone, this is what I'm watching. I'm zoning in, I'm learning, so I can talk about it or I can form my own opinion or whatever. So for me to say, oh shit, that's really what, I never thought about it that way. Eddie Edwards is diminishing the title by doing open challenges and not building the feuds. But I don't see it that way. For me, if anything, compared to going from Brian, who was injured, to Sammy having it for that split second, to Tessa having it and not showing or not doing or not defending. Even if she was there full time, it'd be hard for her to defend consistently. Maybe the hasn't been the focus in a long time, or it hasn't been the main thing that was hot in Impact. What I think Eddie is doing by defending it each week is, even though it is a open challenge, he's defending it each week. We're going from having it so little defended to now having it maybe oversaturated defending of it. If you look at it that way, I don't personally. I didn't even think about it until you just read it. But what I really like is that it builds Eddie as a viable champion without making him look dominant, which is the key to this for me. Because Eddie's great. I love Eddie. He is literally Mr. Impact. Out of all the years, he probably is the guy who has stayed no matter what and waved the flag. So I love Eddie, but at the same time, he's not that, I hate even saying it, but he's not that star that you say, this is our champion, you send him to TV shows necessarily, or whatever it is, when you have those people that you're, great. Eddie's a great technician, great everything when it comes to the ring, and now his character too I enjoy as well, but he's not someone I think you would be hyped about.
Yeah.
So what I like about it is it's making him seem like a fighting, hardworking champion, babyface. I think that's the only way you can have a babyface champion nowadays anyways. Someone who's all about, honor and defending and so on. I think the question is better answered by who his opponents are. Because if he's going in there and having long, hard-fought battles with people who don't deserve the title, then yes, I think it diminishes him as a champion and the title as well, if he's barely beating these people. But I don't want him to be dominant either, because when he does finally lose, everyone could say, oh, he was a fighting champion, he tried, he just got beat this day. So I like that he could still be beat any day, any given day, but I don't see it that way as you read it, rather.
I like open challenges. I think there's 2 ways to build a title, no matter what title it is. It's either with a great storyline through like a rivalry, this person versus this person, their amazing storyline, or it's looking at not necessarily the storyline, but what has the person who's been the champion accomplished. So this is a way for you to say, okay, maybe I haven't been the champion for 2 years, but I've defended the championship 26 times because for 26 straight weeks I've had an open open challenge and I've had to defend it. Look at how great my reign is, not because of necessarily the length, but because of how many people I've beaten. So I think that's a way to really help build them up. I think also if you look at, if you go into WWE, to me, the U.S. Championship, which by the way still looks better than it used to, Still not good. But one of the best parts of that was when John Cena was doing his open title or open challenges, and you had like him wrestling Sami Zayn. Well, yeah, Sami Zayn wasn't ever going to beat him, but it was still a great match, and it's still exciting. So I think that it is a way to help build up a champion and show all that he's accomplished in a relatively short amount of time because you do.
Oh, you agree? Okay. I didn't know if you agreed with how the question portrayed it.
No, I don't think it diminishes anything. I think it's a great way to build him up because it lets him over 3 months defend the title 12 times. And now you say, look, I'm a fighting champion. I've defended it 12 times. If you really want to push it, you figure out how many times Tessa and Sammy, I've defended the title more in 3 months than they defended it in in this much. So you can do that as well. And so I don't think it diminishes it. Like you said, if the Brooklyn Brawler comes out there and gives, Eddie a 40-minute long match, then you're like, well, that's a little weird. But as long as the people are coming out are good, even lower end guys can give you a scare as long as it's a short match that gets a scare. And then I don't think there's an issue with it. I don't have a problem with it.
We're on the same page, brother.
Yeah.
I agree. I like what they're doing with Eddie because at the end of the day, if he loses it next month, he still defended it more times than.
Yeah. And the open challenges, as long as you're giving him legit competition, you always have to wonder, could he lose it here? Like,
especially since being pre-taped.
Yeah, like, could he do it? So, number 3, July was Impact's biggest month in terms of social media growth, and apparently Slammiversary had the highest buy rate for a few years. What do you think Impact needed to do to keep their momentum going? Or I guess Impact needs to do to keep their momentum going?
Exactly what they're doing. Just doing the normal, just putting out good quality content like they have been doing. I don't think right now is a matter of them needing to hit home run after home run like it had been for past 2 years, where they needed that momentum. They have the momentum. They could keep it now by just keeping people interested in the product. Okay. Once we get, if the only thing that I could see them saying red flag, is if the social media activity goes back to pre-Slammiversary. If you just go back to what you were doing pre-Slammiversary, you failed. Well, I haven't seen that. We're even getting more likes without doing anything. They're getting more views on their YouTube channel. Their Twitter account keeps going up constantly. The likes and retweets are way above. The Twitch count is always higher. So they're keeping some. And if that was their swing to keep a core group, and yet there's still more to come, Bound for Glory doesn't need to be a home run for you to survive anymore. If you hit a home run for Bound for Glory, it elevates you to that next level. What that next level for them is, I don't know how far it could take them without a big cable or streaming service, as far as, a Hulu, Netflix, or a I don't know, TNT or whatever the hell.
Yeah, a major network or a streaming service. Yeah.
So it's awesome to hear that they hit records of that. It's exciting that they got all that momentum. It's exciting that they're not really losing that momentum. I mean, it's been 3 weeks, and it's been, I think, number two, and number 4 is what I saw trending in the United States while Impact was on. So, the answer to that for me is just keep doing what you're doing. It's not right now is not the time to gamble. Just stick with your creative process. Keep doing all the shit you're doing because they're doing well. And that's all. That's what I would say. I don't. Could you say, yeah, okay, another big signing or another big reveal or someone comes out to face Eddie hasn't been there before? Yeah, you could say all that. And yeah, that would be another big pop, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that might gain even more momentum. But right now, as the cautious Impact fan, it feels like They should just get the people they have now to realize that consistently Impact is good. And that this last episode was probably the best episode I've watched of theirs. And there's been a good lot, but the best one in years, like years.
So I think in the past, Impact has always put on, at least in my opinion, I think yours, and recent past, I should say, really good pay-per-views.
Recent past.
Yeah, their pay-per-views recently have been phenomenal. The problem was they put on great pay-per-views, but it didn't feel like they had the star power to hold people. People were like, wow, that was a great pay-per-view, but none of these guys do I want to watch week in, week out. Especially when they lost some of their guys to AEW that had that star power. Lucha Brothers, things like that.
Yeah.
Now, with Anderson and Gallows, with EC3, with the Motor City Machine Guns back, with the North, to me, they have the star power that people were like, wow, Summerverse was really good.
Right.
And the people that are on here, I want to watch them again. So I think the goal is each pay-per-view, however much of what you got was new, you want to keep, I would say, somewhere between 50 to 25% of your new viewers continuing to watch, as well as keeping all your old viewers, because then you'll continue to grow. So I think that as long as they continue to put on good pay-per-views, they'll continue to get people interested. But I think I agree with you in the point that they just need to continue doing what they're doing. They're putting on good matches. They're putting on good storylines. And they have now the star power that people care about the good matches and the storylines. So as long as you have, those three things, you're going to grow to an extent. Now, obviously, getting on a streaming service, getting on a bigger network could boost their growth.
Yeah, of course.
Probably double or triple the speed of it. But as long as you continue to put out a good product and you have the stars that people want to watch, people are going to tune in and watch. So I definitely think that, like you said, just continue doing what they're doing. And maybe when somebody becomes a free agent who is a big name, get them, bring them over so people begin to believe this company is a threat to grab the big guys, as opposed to, oh, this is just, a feeder company into WWE and AEW.
No, I agree with you, and I think you hit it on the head. You're on fire today, Max. You're on fire.
I do what I can.
No, I'm serious, because real quick, before you go to number 4, I never really put it in that perspective of, Jesus, now I lost it because you just threw me off. Just go to the next one now.
All right, next one. If you remember, we'll interrupt. We'll make some cuts and we'll just squeeze it in there. Number 4, Dave Meltzer says TNA never had the cool factor with the youth that AEW has and was never bigger. Thoughts?
One, I want to remember what nice friggin' compliment I was going to say, Max. But so this has already got me irritated, and the question's going to have me even more irritated. So this all derives from me saying today that Dave Meltzer saying that TNA never had the cool factor is like OJ telling you you're a bad husband. Okay. So Meltzer saying something is not cool to young people, it is so irrelevant to what is reality that that it just frustrated me to the point. Originally, I was like, this is funny. And then the more I thought about it, the more people kept shitting on Meltzer and saying he just hates Impact. I'm like, damn, man, like, you went out of your way, if that's true. If he does really hate it or whatever. I don't really follow all that shit. If he really hates it, he went out of his way to work TNA into the conversation. So let me set the backdrop for you, if I don't know if you've read the article. But basically, he was talking about AEW, and if, WWE loses their contract, with Fox and such, could you see AEW putting that second show against, say, SmackDown on Fridays? And if they beat them, hypothetically, would SmackDown lose their contract? That kind of bullshit. That's where they were talking. So he said that he believes that AEW could beat SmackDown in time. And he said that TNA went against WWE and failed miserably, blah, 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 blah. But part of it was because he believes that TNA never had the cool factor with young kids or young teenagers, whatever, demographic, the main demo, like AEW has. I don't know what I was watching or when I started watching, but I'm pretty sure I was the demographic that he's speaking of. It was popular. I don't think anyone was embarrassed or didn't think it was cool when it gained so much momentum. Right now, if he had said Impact has never reached the heights of popularity, that's his opinion, or he can bring up numbers. But instead, someone brought up the point of their rating being higher than AEW's. And he's like, well, that's different times because of the television, which I agree with. The way we consume television and media and social media those numbers are irrelevant. But at the same time, if you're going to look at it that way to protect your point about AEW, you have to say times were different when you're talking about TNA. And if that's the only thing you're saying is, oh, well, the social media for AEW is so much, they sold out this big arena, okay. Got its hype when it first started, when TNA, for 2002 to 2008 even, media then. Chat rooms, instant mess, eventually stuff started to build, the internet built, and it went crazy and whatever, and is what it is now. And I believe firmly if TNA did the stuff it was doing then with the people then, the same stuff now or whatever, they would have the same hype AEW. But you got to remember, Impact or TNA had a fight for a television deal. This wasn't a time when people just gave away big television deals. TV mattered. Cable time slots mattered. Winning your time slot mattered. Demos certainly mattered, and they still do, but not as much as they did back in the day. You remember, NBC promoting Seinfeld, this, like, every night had to be something because you were going against something large.
Yeah.
So if you take that in consideration, Impact got a television deal, a video game, all of these things with no social media presence for most of that run. I ordered the pay-per-views $9.95 a week on some whatever cable company on demand is in Virginia Beach. So you can't take one without the other. I don't like that he did that. I don't know the guy. I don't follow the guy. But if it's just a bias and that's why I say it, that's unfortunate more than anything else. That's just stupid. What would you agree or how would it?
So a couple things. One, they talk about the viewership numbers not being the same, but the thing with their viewership numbers is they point to whatever they want to point to make their point. So I understand people consider the key rating, which is 18 to 49. Right. The problem is the world has changed a lot. Like, your people who were in their 50s and 60s now were people who were in their, 30s when WWE was at its peak. And those people are during the internet age, so they're still using the internet. They're still doing all this stuff. Like, to me, looking at that I don't think the key demographic is necessarily what it is, because I think people all over buy. But looking at that, I just Googling the viewership numbers. First off, AEW, if they went up against Raw, they would get absolutely humiliated. So let's be realistic with that. AEW now, the only thing I can find is up to June 24th. They don't have a single episode over 800,000 people that have watched it.
Last week did hit 9 100, I think.
I'm just going by what I could find. I found a general.
Their average, to your point, is 8 something. I did the math.
Raw is averaging. Now this is the entire year, going from January through, is averaging. Let's see. I mean, they're 1.5 is their low.
Yeah.
Like in the key demographic, their low number that I'm seeing is a 0.46, which is which is double what AEW is doing. So here's the thing. TNA said, we're going to go head-to-head with Raw. They didn't say we're going to go head-to-head with FCW, whatever the hell they were putting on in Florida back when that was going on. Like, I'm not, like, I don't watch AEW a bunch, but I've watched AEW, I would probably say, 10 times as much on TV as I've watched NXT. Because even when I had the network, which I don't anymore, I got rid of it, I would always watch NXT on Saturday mornings. I would wake up, I'd put on NXT from the previous week, and I'd watch NXT on a Saturday morning. So if I'm going to, like, and that was just my routine. So there was never a reason for me to watch NXT live. So, like, AEW is going against a show that most people probably weren't watching live in the first place. They were probably watching it when they had time to on the network. So people are talking about how great it's doing against NXT, but it's like, that to me doesn't matter, because if I'm going to watch something, I'm going to watch the live AEW, and I don't just watch NXT on my app.
So what you're saying that they're beating compared to TNA going up against I see.
Yeah, so TNA is going up against Raw, the flagship show of the WWE, and AEW is going up against the third string show that most people don't even give two craps about watching it on USA. So I don't think it's any type of accomplishment to talk about beating that. Do I think they would beat SmackDown? Probably not, because even I can look up SmackDown's viewerships, but I don't think they're going to beat it. But even if you beat SmackDown,
especially a secondary show,
that's still, as much as WWE wants to talk about SmackDown and Raw being equal, they're not.
No, they're not. But what I'm saying is AEW's secondary show is what he was saying hypothetically would go against SmackDown.
No, their secondary show would get humiliated. They would be blown out of the water. Like, just because WWE carries so much weight as a name. Like, and that's the thing. He talks, to me, it's hard. It's like the cool factor with the youth. To me, now, granted, I'm 36 years old now, so I don't know what the youth watch. But outside of like little kids, I don't think wrestling is that popular with like the high school kids. When I was in high school, when the Attitude Era was going on, it was everywhere. Like, you would go into school and people would be talking about it. I remember talking to my friends about like the wrestling games on Nintendo 64, like they were we would get together, we would hang out and play those things after school.
Popularity.
So, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think wrestling is really like a cool factor with youth. Like, you have the people who watch, the youth that watch wrestling are people whose parents watched wrestling and got them into wrestling.
What he's saying is that like it was the cool thing. Like, AEW has a cool factor. They sell Hot Topic shirts, that kind of shit. So let's spin this back to Impact, though. So, not to hate on the other guys, we hate on Impact. The point I was saying, and I want to know if you agree, is that, and I think you're going there, the cool factor, one is not some Dave Meltzer can stick up the point and figure it out. Who is he to say that? It's opinion if he's not going off fact. You can't go off ratings because that's not it. It's not.
Yeah, the world's changed from that. Yeah, like
it's just like basketball or football. You can't. Hey, Michael Jordan, LeBron. You can debate it all day, but at the end of the day,
it's Michael Jordan.
Okay, you know what I'm saying. Not if who's a better person, but yeah, LeBron. So, anyways, okay, we're gonna talk. Long story short, if it's a bias thing, it's unfortunate. if it's a reality thing, it's not true. I can't wait for Impact to get the shine it does deserve. But it sucks that the only way we talk about that is at the expense of other companies. Like, I want all these companies to succeed. I have no issue. I'm pro wrestling. We're still pro wrestling. We watch them. We give them a chance. But it's unfortunate if he has an AEW bias and New Japan bias, whatever, that he feels the need as a journalist to shit on a trusted journalist.
And even if you look at it, I mean, you can say it was never as big as AEW, but TNA took Kurt Angle, they took Jeff Hardy, they took the Dudley Boys.
Right.
All of them were in their prime. Now, granted, Kurt Angle, you can argue because he had the neck issue, they may not have been cleared by WWE. But I'm saying that I'm pretty sure they said because he was taking the pills for his injury, they weren't going to clear him. So, but those guys were all in their prime when they left WWE to go to TNA.
Yeah.
Who has AEW taken from WWE that really mattered?
In that regards,
like if you're looking at who's a bigger company, I mean, granted, I know we're looking at past and granted, AEW has all their stars from New Japan that they grabbed, but that's the thing. Like TNA at that point in time was going after WWE stars and not Jake Hager, who the WWE could probably just thought he was still packing up the ring when he left. They're like, oh, we didn't really even realize he was still part of the show. Like,
I met him at a Fridays. He was a nice man.
Yeah, but that's like TNA was actively going after WWE stars. They weren't getting all of them, but they were still going after them.
It's just a matter. I think it's it summed it up how I summed it up. It just is what it is. That's his perception. I don't personally, care for it.
The truth is, AEW, a lot of the guys in AEW are Dave Meltzer's friends. So he's going to back them left and right. Like it doesn't matter. It's the same thing with Paul Heyman. He's going to bet no matter what, because Paul Heyman feeds him stuff, he's going to back Paul Heyman 100% of the time.
You think Paul feeds him stuff?
Yeah, from everything I've read online, that's who people think it is. They think it's Paul Heyman that feeds him stuff.
I think Paul's in on it with AJ, and they're trying to get AJ to get out of his contract. All right, what's number 5?
Number 5, Scott D'Amore offering a home series between the North and FTR. Would a best of the best series between AEW and Impact interest you?
Well, after shitting on everything other than Impact just now, it's a fine line that interests me. Yes, let's just get that up. Yes, it would interest me very much. Do I think it could be done with the politicking of it? I don't think anyone would do it to where they're happy. The only way is if you get a win at home, you get a win at home. But is that really fun for us, the fans? Yeah, we get to see the match, I guess. In today's society, I don't see it happening. I like the fact that Scott and Impact do welcome. God damn it, Frankie. Sorry.
Earthquake in Utica.
Frankie's shaping the tan. God, we're so professional. So I don't. Yes, I would be excited in it. I'd be interested in it. I watch both matches no matter where they were. Don't see it happening. And I think it's just one of those things that either one of them have to go to the other one permanently or for a time period for it to happen or to make it worth it. It's just hard, right? I mean, if you like FDR or AEW, you're going to want them to win. If you like Impact, there's not going to be a balance.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's rough. So you have to take the champions out of it because no organization's going to have their champion lose.
Neither of them are champions, so
I'm saying, I'm talking about if you do like a AEW and Impact, like versus each other, even if you did more than just that. Yeah, so you can't do that. I mean, but I agree. It's one of those things where neither company's just going to go let their team be beaten 2-0. Like they're just not. Both teams are too good to do it, and it is. I think it would be more interesting if it was flipped, whereas the Revival or whatever they are now, FTR, won in Impact, and the North won in AEW. Because obviously, when you're coming in, you're gonna be the heels. Like the North are gonna be faces in Impact. They're gonna be heels in AEW the same way.
Yeah.
But
fans,
So I think it would be interesting to do it that way. I think it would be exciting. But I think you have to sit there and question, though, how much do you trust the other organization? Because if you're AEW, you send the Revival over and they lose in Impact. Let's just assume that's the way it happens.
I would imagine they both agree on it before.
Well, no, but I'm just saying. So let's just say that's the thing. The North are going to beat the Revival in Impact. The Revival are going to beat the North in AEW. So let's just say, for example, they send the Revival over, the North win, and then Impact's like, well, hey, we're not going to send the Revival. Have a nice. We're not going to send. So that's the thing. But now, do I think they would do that? No.
No, it'd be written in contract. They would have a contract, man.
But here's the thing. But I'm saying you have to trust them that somebody doesn't pull something shady. Oh, we're injured. We can't do this. Because then you have to sit there and wonder, well, we just sent our guys over there. They lost. Now their guys are claiming injury and their match isn't going to happen. So now I think that would be a concern too, is that,
Here's what I say. I say, if you think the North are going to leave for AEW eventually anyway, then I only go off that based on possibility, contract running up, Cody always talking about Ethan Page. It's possible. If you think they're going...
Cody also talked about Chris Bay before he realized he was signed to Impact. So it doesn't mean anything. He may not realize Ethan Page is even on the roster.
I think he's aware Ethan Page is on the roster. You gotta stop it. It's too late for you to interrupt me, man. I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. No. I don't know. Fuck you, Max. Cody, Ethan Page.
If you think the North's going to AEW.
If the North are going to AEW, then you do it no matter what. You let come here, give us the rub before you take our guys. Yeah, come on over. Come beat our guys. We don't give a shit. And then take them with you. If you really think that at the end of the day they're leaving, you have nothing to lose. So go for it. Get as much pop as you can before they leave you and go from there. But I don't know what's going to happen. So I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not going to get my hopes up. But before I lose my place again, I think
it would be interesting. But I think it's hard to pull off is the biggest issue of how do you do it. So
interest is there. I don't think the interest for not. Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and take a break, and we'll be back with a quick 7.
Hopefully they're quick.
Probably not. All right, and we are back with a quick 7. By the way, Skype is telling me to avoid legal snags. I should let you know you're being recorded. So if you weren't aware of that, you're being recorded. All right, so quick 7, here we go. Number 1 is Heath Slater so far.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I talked about this on What Went Down with Craig. Pleasantly surprised. I think they carried over a little bit of his character still from what we know of him, while transitioning obviously to a different character before our eyes. Very aggressive match. Some good movement from him. Pleasantly surprised. Do I want him winning the world championship? No. But do I go back to episode 14 or whenever we were talking about who's coming, who's not, and who's my least favorite? Is he now? Am I wrong about him? Yeah, I don't mind him. I think he's a good hand. I think perform a lot of roles, but I think his story arc is going on a different path, and I'm excited to see what they do with that.
No, I like him. I mean, I thought he was funny in WWE, but primarily just comedy.
Right.
I think they kind of started with the comedy, obviously with him like not technically being signed and stuff like that. But I like where he's going. I think I mean, you look at this is gonna sound weird. You look at the 3MB guys, and I think Jinder and I almost called him Gallows, Galloway, yeah, have both showed that they were well above that group. That they were good wrestlers. They could be stars. I think it's time for Heath to go ahead and hit the roids like the other two guys did. Get beefy so that way when he goes back, they can to WWE. He fits the new, thing. I mean, hey, why not?
Sassy. That's very sassy.
I mean, hey, that's the way it works. But no, I like him. I think he's enjoyable. Very similar. Much more excited now than I was when you were like, oh, they're getting him. Like, awesome.
Yeah.
So Eddie Kingston to AEW.
Yeah, Craig I mentioned this in a longer one for the headlines originally, and said, was it a missed opportunity for Impact after the OGs not to keep him around? I think Eddie Kingston's great. He's had a couple different variations of his gimmick within Impact. He was with the not BDC, Jesus, the Death Council thing, the DCC or whatever that thing with the mask that lasted a second. And then he was with the OGs, which I love. I love his work. I think it wasn't a mistake not to sign him now. Like, they shouldn't have forced it. If his path is supposed to be with AEW and that's where he gets his spot, and then so be it. It's not that it's a big loss. I don't like looking at it that way. I'm more happy for him to have a job and be on national television. So not a loss for Impact, or maybe a lost opportunity necessarily with how much talent they have, but I'm just more happy, is my opinion on that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a loss for them. I was trying to see exactly when he signed with AEW. So July 22nd. Okay. Yeah, it's when he debuted. I know he was on. I thought he was. Oh no. Okay, July 22nd was his first one. Okay. So I mean, around that time, I mean, they were adding all the guys from WWE. So Impact was. They were adding Anderson Gallows. They were to me, if this were the middle of October and nobody was being signed, and he would have signed with AEW, then I would have been like, oh, that would have been a good addition to Impact. There haven't been any signings recently. It's good to add new guys. But with what they added, I don't think it's a loss, because I think similar to what we were saying, you can't bring in too many new guys at one time.
Right.
So him being in, I think he kind of would have gotten lost in the shuffle with Impact. But I'm happy for him in AEW. I know from what I read, it's going to be completely full of crap. But apparently, I mean, Cody was really happy with the match they had. So, like, Cody really liked Roy Williams. So good for him. Hopefully he, can flourish there and become something. But I don't really think it's a huge loss for Impact, similar to what you said. But once again, good for him.
Yeah.
Number 3, Brian Myers is coming soon.
Yeah, so you get vignette after vignette of Brian Myers, who currently is in the old Heath Slater position. So I'm not excited about him coming on board. I admit that. It is interesting that he's doing literally the same almost. People are noticing that it kind of looks like Kurt Angle's debut, where he was popping up and had the hoodie on and all that stuff. What that has to do with him, I hope nothing. I don't, or not Kurt Angle. I hope Kurt Angle comes. I mean, Brian Myers being the next Kurt. I don't know, man. I have nothing on him. I'll be honest. I don't know I haven't watched enough of his work to say he's this or that. I know from the little times I've seen him, I haven't been a big fan. But that doesn't mean, once again, same with Heath, that he could have been put in a box elsewhere and then not been able to be himself or what he wants to do, and maybe he's going to flourish here. So open-minded is the thing I'm going to say, because there's been rare signings that Impact has done that has made me question management in quite a while. Johnny Swinger was the last one I questioned, and then he's now who he is, and I eat crow because he's amazing. He's my favorite part of the show almost. So I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. We'll see where it goes, and I'm hoping they surprise me again. That's the way I'll put it.
So, I mean, kind of similar. Like, I'm not super excited about him. The thing I remember most about him in WWE was two things. One, he was the worst rated character in the video games.
Oh, Jesus.
And two, he was basically a jobber. Like, he just lost all the time. Now, I think it would be hilarious if they give them like these awesome like vignettes and make it look like he's going to be amazing. He comes out and just gets like stomped into the ground over and over again, and he's just like, because I mean, being a jobber is it's a unique skill. Like
it is.
You make people look like the Brooklyn Brawler. Mentioned it before. We'll bring it back to him. Every time I saw that man back in the day, I'm like, yeah, this is going to get crushed.
Right.
But he always made the guy he was going against look amazing.
Oh yeah. Enhancement talent. Yeah, I agree with that. But my thing is I don't think his effect, maybe it will be in the ring, maybe it will be character driven, but he does, once again, and I mentioned this on What Went Down, he does a lot of things that are outside of wrestling that make him valuable. He has his toy unboxing with that he does with Ryder. He does his own wrestling school. So there's things that he does that he can.
You bring him in, he jobs out like a permanent jobber, just gets destroyed over and over again. And then you eventually give him the big payoff where he beats Eddie Edwards for the Impact Championship.
Quick 7. Next one, Max. Next one.
So, all right. Do we still do KO tag belts?
Oh, because AEW did their women's tag tournament. I don't know, man. That's so dumb.
Yes, 100%. Yes. You don't let what they're doing dictate what you're doing. You had it planned. You were clearly signing people. You were putting people together. Who gives a shit? Because here's the thing. This isn't something where you're like, we've never had these before, and now we're just pulling them out of our ass. If someone's like, oh, look, that's what TNA, that's what AEW did. You're like, dude, we had these before any company did.
Yeah, and the build was already happening for us. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, my point is
that I'm not as negative or angry. But what I want to say is when the tournament consists of people like what was her name? Cameron in WWE.
About the Who guy from Tough Enough when Stone Cold asked what her favorite match was, and she was like, it's Melina versus like Jackie. Who?
He said, what's your favorite? He said, Melina versus Alicia Fox, and he's like, who? It still gets me.
Still don't even know who the hell those people were.
No, yes, her, the Funkadelic.
Okay.
When it consists of her and Rebel, my thing is good for them, do what they're doing, but yes, you still bring them back 100%. Not only do you not let them dictate it, you just do it better than them. You know, yeah. Oreo wasn't the original, but they took the market. You know what I'm saying?
Same thing with Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. All right, what's up next?
All right. Emergence 2-week pay-per-view.
Yeah. So we're getting a 2-week episodic on Impact pay-per-view, like they do here and there. And it's got championship matches, and Eddie's going to defend. I think they announced Jordan versus Deanna rematch, and North versus Motor City so far rematch. So it's going to be one of those pay-per-views. The first thing that came to my head is that my album that Impact used to have their theme songs on. You remember Emergence? That's the one we listen to every time we.
Yes.
That's what I first thought of. But other than that, I think it's going to be a great pay-per-view in all seriousness, or pay-per-view. I'm old school. But those matches alone get me excited. I'm just looking forward to what happens because who knows who Eddie's challenge. I don't know. I'm excited. Maybe it's Eric Young. Maybe it's a mystery. Who knows? So exciting is the way to for emergence.
Yeah, I mean, I like the 2-week pay-per-view thing. I think AEW did it, NXT did it. I thought both of those were well done. I think it keeps. Oh yeah, Impact did it. I think it keeps excitement from one episode to the next more so than just a normal storyline, because the episodes feel bigger. It's kind of like when they were doing like I think it Destination X at one point was just like a pay-per-view, but it was just like a normal episode.
Yeah. Same difference, yeah.
Yeah, it's things like that where you're like, oh, this is a special episode. Something different could happen than just a normal episode. So we could see a title change. We could see, debut. So I like it. I think it's a good idea. I'm sure it'll be pulled off well. And I think it's a good place to throw in some rematches as opposed to waiting for a bigger pay-per-view, especially if you don't necessarily want.
Right.
Yeah. So Bound for Glory match you want.
Oof. Well, that goes hand in hand with the emergence. So talking about it before, I'm starting to believe that it's going to be this grudge match. Eric Young, Rich Swann would probably happen at Bound for Glory. If that's an all-out street fight, that match is going to be insane. That excites me, especially after the angle from last episode. But as far as what match I would really want to see, I'd love to see the North, Motor City, and Good Brothers. Maybe the Rascals too. 4-corner elimination tag team championship match, something like that, where we finally come full circle and the tag team titles are just as important as they have ever been. That's what I'm gonna go with.
So I mean, I'm torn here because the match that I'm most excited about seeing in the future that is Motor City versus the Good Brothers. The problem is I don't know if I want that at Bound for Glory.
Why?
Because I want to see the Good Brothers be champions, but I don't necessarily want Motor City's run to end quickly.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
So I'm torn about that. But I will throw this in. Deonna Purrazzo versus Tennille Dashwood. Mostly because that means that she's able to come back from Australia and hopefully the world's back to normal.
Okay, fair enough.
So, but I think, the Good Brothers one is the one that I really want to see. Yeah. I still think it could be the start of a great feud, though, even if maybe the Good Brothers don't win there. It builds into them winning. So I think that's realistically the one that I want to see.
Anything Good Brothers in Motor City, I would say.
So BFG biggest surprise.
Oh, okay. So this is my serious. I'm serious about this. I think Kurt Angle wrestles at Bound for Glory. That's gonna be my prediction.
When do they usually do the Hall of Fame nominations?
Bound for Glory.
It is. So that is it the nomination or is it the actual? Because I can't remember.
No, they induct at Bound for Glory.
Okay, and then because don't they normally tell you on an episode or two before who it's going to be? Okay.
Well,
see, Kurt Angle would be exciting to come back. I don't want to see him wrestle.
I know, but think about this, Max. He denied a contract with WWE. He has a lot of time until October, since from when he was whatever. Maybe he's getting in ring shape for one last good match. He doesn't want to leave his last match being against Baron Corbin.
I want my last match to be against Baron Corbin either.
Yeah.
Baron Corbin gets released and sides with Impact.
Biggest surprise.
I'm thinking about a really big surprise Hall of Fame inductee.
Okay.
But I'm trying to think of who it would be. Obviously the biggest one is someone like AJ, because I don't think I'm trying to look to see who's actually in the Hall of Fame still.
No, he's not in the Hall of Fame, Max. There's only 9.
I don't remember who's all in it. But he's not gonna be the person that's in it though. All right, so Sting, Kurt Angle, Jeff Jarrett, Earl. You know who I would like to see? Because it's not going to be AJ. Like, that would be awesome, but it's not. I would like to see them induct Jeff Hardy into the TNA Hall of Fame at Bound for Glory.
Okay. Interesting. We'll see.
Because to me, he was a huge part of Impact in its previous prime.
I agree.
And I think he's in a good spot in his life now. That I think would be a good.
He's not in a good spot. He's in WWE, but what his contract run up or something?
No, but I still think I don't think being inducted into the Hall of Fame is something that WWE would be super against. Like, they sent Christian over there. They had Ric Flair inducted. Christian came over because Ric Flair was inducted in the whole Four Horsemen. So I could see them being like, yo, we want more tape on whatever person. Can you give us access to that? We'll send Jeff Hardy over for the big.
They can make something
happen.
Yeah. Make the quick comeback and have our talking shit after party. Then we'll go to bed. Shooting the shit. This is going to be, even though we aren't in persona when we do the show, we don't really just kind of talk. So I'm going to talk in my real voice and you wrap this up.
You talk in a different voice?
No, I'm saying, I talk more happy and shit, I guess. I don't know, man. I'm trying to always be on. There you go. That's during the show. I'm trying to be on. So I just want to catch up and show went okay. We're both extremely tired. Exhausted. Couple things I wanted to tell you about Impact that fit in the show. One, you didn't see the ending yet, but Rich Swann segment is a double watch. Like, that shit is dope. I won't ruin it for you. I hope you don't just look it up, man. Finish it.
No. I'll finish everything.
Go on Impact Plus, yeah.
Right now I'm watching Dez capturing the Super X Cup. 2017.
Oh yeah, I didn't ask you what you watching, man.
Right now I'm watching the Impact Flashback. Impact Plus Flashback. Sign up now for a free 30-day trial on Twitch. It's telling. But yeah, Dez captures the Super X Cup. Man, I can't believe he's been there since 2017.
It's only 3 years.
Still though, like,
yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
A while though. What I was gonna tell you though is you got to look up what Booker T just said about Dixie, man.
Is it something we can play on the episode? Or are we gonna get? Oh, God, really? It's one for 450.
No, it's not a video. Just go to Wrestling, I think it's on WrestlingInc.com. Has a little excerpt of what he.
I could spell Booker T.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna read it now. Do it later.
No, I want to read it on the thing. That's what I'm saying.
Oh.
Just like the first few lines.
Talking about Booker T says Dixie Carter was getting busy with Impact Wrestling Stars. Yep, 2 days ago. Booker T has been around the pro wrestling business for decades. No one cares about this. Dixie Carter would apparently throw some serious parties, according to Booker T. She would throw parties just to have a party, which got in the way of business. Well, imagine that.
Right.
Booker T also stated that Carter was living out her MILF dream. He didn't say exactly what was going on between Dixie Carter and the Impact Wrestling roster, but he did say she was hot to trot and getting busy.
That's all you need.
These are actual quotes. Here we go. I don't know what Dixie Carter was doing half the time. I know she was hanging out in the bar, hanging out with the boys. When you were hanging out with the boys and the water might get hot. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know what Dixie was doing, but she seemed like she was living out her MILF's dream. Serious, man. Dixie was getting busy. I'm not going to say that what she was doing. I feel like he just said the same thing like 6 times. But Dixie was definitely, how do you say it back in the day, hot to trot. I don't know. She had makeup and everything on. I don't know how much writing she was doing for the show.
She had makeup on. That's his bar of. She was.
All right, here we go. This is the real deal. I remember one time Dixie threw a huge party. The celebration was just after the show. There's no real reason to have a party. We're having a party just because the show is over with. Yeah, got to be happy about that. Let's have a party. That's what I knew, brother. You get your paper because the ship's going to sink real soon. When the boss starts mingling with the talent, and hold on now, back up 3 steps. I'm pretty sure Vince has smashed 3/4. Booker's a hypocrite.
Well, I think it's the sexist. Sexist approach.
I don't know what kind of mingling they were doing. Meanwhile, Triple H is over here getting married to the boss's daughter. That's mingling. Maybe that's why Booker T's angry, because Triple H, who was dating Stephanie, buried him in a pay-per-view after a giant build-up.
Yeah, that's why he's like Triple H.
But when the boss starts hanging out with the talent and having parties, hanging out and doing that kind of stuff, it's a bad message and a huge mistake. Business is definitely secondary. You can count how many parties we had for reality of wrestling. It's been here at the house because those things just don't go together. All right, enough of that. So apparently Dixie Carter was hooking up with everybody.
No. That's spreading rumors. But Booker T says.
Booker T says she was hooking up with everybody.
Oh, man, that's good. Oh, that gave me a laugh.
So on one of the pictures, it's Dixie Carter and Eric Young. I don't know if they're insinuating something, but it's just a picture of Dixie.
Drama. Oh, I think that's where we should end it. I'm not going to get a bigger laugh than that. You got anything?
So, to think, Jeff, had you messaged her back, wrote her back when she sent you her signed picture, maybe you could have a story like that.
Maybe we could. I could be writing. I could have been writing TNA Impact music as well, just like her husband.
Maybe you could have finished it. Maybe you could have written a storyline. Maybe you could have figured out who kidnapped Joe.
I know who kidnapped Joe. It's cut right there. I'll cut it.